UIC.
Freedom the people of
Hell yeah.
freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a 3 grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a 3 grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready fi broke every chain. That when you free up the people.
Okay, let's try again. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just I kind of restarted. Let me know if you can hear me now. Still no sound. Wow. Amazing. Yes, you can hear. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Excellent. Thank you for your patience. I just restarted, and so now we are in business. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for patiently waiting on my new microphone. Look at this. It is a new microphone. I replaced the previously new microphone and still had problems with the system. Not sure why it keeps giving all this problem, but that's good. Anyways, tonight I want to talk to you about Marcus Garvey. I want to talk about what killed Marcus Garvey. You know, what killed Marcus Garvey? I want to talk about that. Sometimes we talk about our heroes and then we forget about them. We remember them faintly and we don't remember the history. You know, what brought down the great man? What prevented Marcus Garvey from achieving the magnificent plans that he had for the black race? And mind you, Marcus Garvey achieved a phenomenal amount of accomplishments for a man of his time. If you think about it, he was a immigrant to America. He was never a citizen, and here was this immigrant in America who gave a tremendous amount of motivation, enthusiasm, pride in the Black Americans. And so tonight we want to look at his life a little bit more closely, or at least one aspect of it. I want to look at what brought him down so you can see parallels and you can be careful as you deal with future developments. Yeah. So good evening. Good evening, all of you. Trudian, good to see you on. Good evening, Oral Parchment. Good evening, Kame Lock over there in, where are you again, Kame? In, what you call it? Luana, St. Elizabeth. Good evening, Anthony. Good to see you. Kenrick Gordon, Mr. Vice President. Good to see you, sir. Maurice Williams. Excellent. Good to see you. So, how much do you know about Marcus Garvey? What kind of history were you taught? If you think about the accomplishments of Marcus Garvey, you have to think about it in the context of a very racially charged era, an era where we didn't have all the technologies we have today. So they didn't have cell phones and so, and he built a massive enterprise in spite of all of that. Good evening, Carol. Good evening, Desmond Myrie. Good to see you. So Marcus Garvey built a massive black enterprise at a time when the black race was under tremendous pressure, tremendous pressure from their colonial masters. And he could have done a lot more. And the question is, the question is, what stopped him? What killed him? What prevented him from achieving the massive goals that he set? What cut him short? What prevented Marcus Garvey from reaching the pinnacle of the plans he had for the black race? And he achieved much. You know, Marcus Garvey organized the black men and women in a tremendous way. They had a lot of industry, including the Black Star Line. They had shops, they had manufacturing plants, they had a military wing, they had a medical wing. His enterprise of black nationals spread across different countries, from Africa, of course, to the US. And Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican. He was born here in Jamaica, St. Anne's Bay. But he was rejected by his own people. Don't forget that. He was rejected by his own people. And he was kicked out of Jamaica, if you look into the history. And he was kicked out of Jamaica by the colonial masters working through Jamaicans. So they used our fellow Jamaicans to undermine Marcus Garvey. and pushed him out of Jamaica. He created the first political party in Jamaica, the Marcus Garvey People Political Party, that was created before the two colonial parties. And even though he was the first one to create a political party in Jamaica, the first one to organize the people politically in Jamaica, we don't hear about him today. You don't hear about the PPP today as a significant party. You'd imagine that it would have been a strong force for good for the black masses. But instead, we ended up with two parties being led by two white men. Imagine that. And those two parties being led by those two white men got the special support of the colonial masters. And when it came time for them to write new laws for Jamaica, these two parties worked closely with the colonial masters to ensure that we had a constitution that would be very favorable to our colonial masters. And that has remained so from the first set of redrafting of the laws to make the Negroes feel like they were getting somewhere. From 1944 to now, those two parties that were created or led by two white men still exist today. The Marcus Garvey Party no longer exists, and they have survived, and he was crushed, and his party was crushed, and he was pushed out of Jamaica. And even though he was an immigrant in the US, he was more successful than these two parties at giving the black masses of America pride, helping them to organize into a powerful social, political, and economic unit. He was so powerful that the American government had to create a particular segment of the CIA to go after him and to find any way possible to bring him down. And they created spurious charges. They lied on him. They framed him. They misrepresented him in order to bring him down and destroy his movement and scatter the black sheeps so that they could be easily divided and devoured by the white colonial masters. Amazing, isn't it? Is it possible? Is it possible that we might repeat what we said we would not have done if we were around at the time of Marcus Garvey? How many of you would have just quickly said, I would never have participated in bringing down Marcus Garvey and the UNIA if I was alive back then? But is it possible that you may stand by and allow that to happen now? Allow them to divide us, allow them to distract us, allow them to devour us and scatter us again, so that the two colonial parties can remain firmly in place to divide and distract the Jamaican people, while a few wealthy folks and those connected to them extract the wealth of the Jamaican people and suck us dry. There's not much more left for them to suck, and they're sucking every day. Every day there's a sucking vacuum that's just pulling out the wealth of the Jamaican people, whether it's by foreigners owning our tourism sector, whether it's by the mining corporations being given the right to mine away our assets that can never be replaced, whether it's massive corruption in Petrojam or in our Ministry of Education, whether it's taking money from the colonial masters to sell us out, even to sell our bodies. It's coming back. I think it's over. It's not over. They're not finished with Jamaica yet. There's still more pounds of flesh for them to extract from us. And so while they will do everything to divide and distract, they're still going to consistently sell out the Jamaican people. The two major political parties have been in the business of selling Jamaica. They've been selling all of our assets, left, right, and center. Every year they sell more and more of our asset down to the people of Jamaica. The Prime Minister is now ready to import skilled labor. After his party and the other one has been in office for more than 78 years, they're telling us now that we're not good enough. They will have to import skilled laborers because we are not good enough. What an indictment on their stewardship of our country. What an indictment of their stewardship on our country. And here you have it. Our very black brothers and sisters, some of us, are right this minute, even as we speak, concocting all manner of strategies to make sure that they repeat what was done to Marcus Garvey. I want you to take a look at the man, Marcus Garvey, and what he has done for us. The man that our own leaders destroyed, prevented him from creating a new race of black men and women, a race that would no longer be mentally bound in slavery, a race that would understand the value of liberty, a race that would know the importance of productivity, a race that would not be living for handout and charity, a race that would be supreme in its understanding of its role in the universe as one that should never be subservient to any other race. That's the man that they killed. And you need to know why. You need to know how, so that we don't repeat it again. I want you to watch this. Watch this carefully, because it is going to show you, it's going to explain to you, in brief, who the man is, and we're going to look at how they killed him, how we killed him, and how we might do it again. Watch carefully.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey was born August 17, 1887, in St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica. He was the last of 11 children born to Marcus Garvey Sr. and Sarah Jane Richards. His father was a stonemason, and his mother was a domestic worker and farmer. Garvey's father was known to have a large library where the young Garvey learned to read. At age 14, he became a printer's apprentice, and in 1903 he traveled to Kingston, Jamaica, and soon became involved in union activities. He also took part in a printer strike in 1907 and realized his passion. 3 years later, Garvey traveled throughout Central America, working as a newspaper editor, and wrote about the exploitation of migrant workers in the plantations. He later attended Birkbeck College, known now as the University of London, and worked for the African Times and Orient Review, which advocated Pan-African nationalism. By 1912, Garvey returned to Jamaica and founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, with the goal of uniting all African diaspora to establish a country and absolute government of their own. He created the red, black, and green flag to symbolize black unity. Red is for the color of the blood which men must shed for their redemption and liberty. Black is the color of the noble and distinguished race to which we belong. And green is for the luxuriant vegetation of our motherland. Garvey traveled to the United States in 1916. He settled in New York City and formed a UNIA chapter in Harlem. There he promoted a separatist philosophy of social, political, and economic freedom for blacks. He held large branch meetings where entire families gathered for a day of debates, fashion shows, classical music plays, and theatrical acts. With the UNIA, Garvey gave his followers, who were dispossessed amongst the majority, a sense of belonging. For the young people, there was the UNIA Juvenile Division, where children studied the Bible, the doctrine of the UNIA, and the history of Africa. Girls were taught sewing, boys woodcraft, and both received further instruction in black history and etiquette. At the age of 13, boys received military training to prepare them for the membership in the African Legion. while girls learned hygiene and domestic science in order to prepare them to be Black Cross nurses. There was also the Motor Corps, where members were trained in military discipline and automobile driving and repair. In 1918, Garvey began publishing the widely distributed newspaper Negro World to convey his message. It had a worldwide circulation of over 100,000 people, and in 1919, Garvey and the UNIA launched the Black Star Line, a shipping company to establish trade and commerce between Africans in America, the Caribbean, South and Central America, Canada, and Africa. Also that year, he established the Negro Factories Corporation and offered stock for African Americans to buy. He wanted to produce everything that a nation needed so that African Americans could completely rely on their own efforts. At one point, the corporation operated 3 grocery stores, 2 restaurants, a printing plant, a steam laundry, and owned several buildings and trucks in the New York City area alone. In August 1920, the UNIA held its first international convention at Madison Square Garden. Before a crowd of 25,000 people from all over the world, Garvey spoke of having pride in African history and culture. Marcus Garvey and his organization, the UNIA, represented the largest mass movement in African American history. Proclaiming a Black nationalist back to Africa message, Garvey and the UNIA had over 1 million members and had established 700 branches in 38 cities by the early 1920s. Marcus Garvey was an entrepreneur, publisher, educator, and civil rights activist, and the founder of the Pan-African movement, and by far is still one of the most influential individuals of the African diaspora.
So, what have we learned from that little episode about Marcus Garvey? You should have noticed that he actually overcame tremendous odds to achieve what he did. But there's something that is at play in the Black race that we need to understand. The Black man, having gone through slavery and colonialism, is very leader-centric. He has learned no longer to trust himself. He has learned to depend on others. And you'll notice that throughout the years of what we call, what you call it again, AIDS. They kept getting AIDS. And here in Jamaica, when I was growing up as a child, we used to clap when our politicians, the people around me, I would see them clapping and cheering when our politicians came back and tell us that they got AIDS, or they got loans, or they got grants. And even now you see the same thing in the current crop of politicians. They love to go away and get goodies and come back, and they like to tell you that they're depending on this country or that country to give them some kind of a aid. And so Marcus Garvey was trying to correct the deformity in our minds, the deformity of wanting handouts, the deformity of wanting charity, the deformity of believing that somebody else must come and save us, somebody outside of ourselves, some outside sources must come and save us. And he was able to, for a brief moment, overcome that crippling effect for a large number of Black people who were beginning to unlearn what they were being taught. You would notice that after Garvey, the people slipped back into their normal mode, and you saw persons like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X emerging, and they were diametrically opposed. Malcolm X understood the principles and teaching of Marcus Garvey, that we should never seek equality with anyone. We must assume that we're already equal. We must not seek to be eating in their restaurants or at their lunch counters or riding on their buses. We should be seeking to own the buses, own the lunch counters, own the restaurants, and own the hotels. But there are some black men and women among us who are quite contented with the existing state of affairs. They oftentimes like the idea of being able to be a part of the systems and structures that make them feel safe in the practices of the colonial masters, safe in the strictures of the colonial masters. And so there are many Jamaicans who feel safe in keeping Jamaica the way it is. Maybe they're afraid of the possibility of freedom. They're afraid of what might happen if, for some strange reason, the colonial masters' political system and their political parties and their economic model is somehow shattered. They're afraid of being free. They love being slaves, even if it means that they're, a house slave. You'll see that even in the action of our Prime Minister, how he was proud to become a QC, to get an award from the colonial masters. He's proud to invite them to his country and pay for them to come and show them off to the rest of Jamaica, because he's comfortable in that arrangement. He's okay with being in a colonial system and structure. He's okay and he feels good to go to America and beg a few shillings and come back to Jamaica. They're stuck. And so you see, some of them, when they see the principles of Marcus Garvey, the teachings of Marcus Garvey, the leadership of Marcus Garvey coming back, because Garvey told us he would come back. He told us that they can't kill him forever. But they are determined every time that there's a possibility of true black greatness rising. We're not talking about sellout blacks. We're not talking about leaders who have the color black, but they don't have the interest of the black man at heart. They don't have the desire to see real liberation of black people. So they're only black in color. They're not black in purpose. They're not black in mission. They're not black in reality. They're just black by nature. And so when they see any possibility of change in that direction, their first instinct is to kill it. Sometimes they don't even know that that's what they're doing, but it's so coded into their DNA that they do it automatically. Some people call it the crab in a barrel mentality. They're afraid of their friends getting ahead because they're like, oh my gosh, we're not supposed to go too far. It's like going into a ghetto community or into a gang. And you have a person who wants to leave the gang or wants to leave the ghetto and elevate themselves. And you'd find that their very friends will stab them in the back, will sell them out in order to prevent them from getting out of the gang or getting out of the ghetto. Well, it's not just a gang or a ghetto. It is an entire country of people. You have people who are afraid of even contemplating a Jamaica that is not controlled by one of the two colonial parties. Even after you educate them to realize that they're not voting for alternatives, they're voting for the choices that are placed before them, they will still vote for it anyway. They will retire in their minds and convince themselves that they can't do any better. It's like a woman in an abusive relationship. And when she look at the abuse that she's getting, but she look at the man, and for some reason she has concluded in her mind that she can't live without him. How is she going to survive if he is not in her life, even though he's battering her? He's abusing her. He's not treating her with respect. He's not loving her. Every indication is that he is using her and he hates her, but she can't see herself outside of his relationship. And so she remains in it until one day she's a statistic. One day the abuse goes too far and she has lost the remainder of her life. We're suffering the same thing here in Jamaica. We have killed several third parties in this country. We have killed many prophets in the entire Black ecosystem, from Africa to Jamaica to the US. What killed Marcus Garvey more than anything else was a broken heart. When he saw all of his life's work, all of his ambitions, all of his mission to elevate a people being snuffed out by the very people he gave his life for, the very people he loved and cared for, the very people he tried to elevate, sought to destroy him. Why? Very simple. In the white race, in the Chinese race, in the Indian race, you will notice they do something far better than the Black race. Here's what they do. They learn how to unite. And they learn how to unite around very positive causes, positive for their interest. It might not be positive for the interest of the other race, but they unite around positive interests for themselves and their people and their country. When Christopher Columbus came to the so-called New World, he didn't come alone. He came with many men and supplies. He couldn't fund it by himself. He got funding from a number of people who didn't even set foot on the ship, people who have never seen the New World, but they cooperated, they united, they formed a cooperation, and then they pursued a dangerous, unknown venture based on a theory that none of them could prove until it is proven. And they set sail and they went out and they conquered an entire half of the world, if you will. Our people, when they came to our shores in Africa, our people chose to admire them, to cooperate with them, to work with them, and lost an entire continent to them. Today, we do the same thing. We will choose money over freedom. We will choose scarce benefits and spoil over the bigger picture of a free nation that gives us a chance at real, lasting prosperity. We will easily give up because somebody tells us that something is bad. I'll give you an example. I recently saw someone resign, a candidate resign from the UIC. On investigation, I find out that the candidate resigned from the UIC because the candidate heard some bad news in the public sphere. The candidate didn't find it necessary to call me and to ask about it and to investigate it before reaching a conclusion. It's as if we love bad news, we love gossips, and we act upon them without careful investigation. We don't take the time to carefully investigate and understand. We just make snap decisions. In my experience in building this organization, and remember, I'm not a politician. I was not involved in any of the other two parties. I have watched and observed my mother being involved in them, but I was never a politician. But one thing I observed as I build the United Independence Congress, as I build this organization, one thing I notice, our people are not good at building. We're very good at tearing down. We're very good at criticizing. We're very good at giving advice to tell others what they should do. We're talkers. We're not doers. When we come to any organization, we like for it to be ready-made, done, and complete by somebody else. And that is how the Europeans keep destroying us. That's how the Westerners keep destroying us. I've been to several meetings where they come to our country and invite us to talk about new laws or new policies that they would like for us to implement. And what I notice they always do, they don't ask us to do anything in detail. They rent a nice place like at the Pegasus, nice chandeliers, nice light, nice tables and chairs, nice food to give us breakfast and lunch or dinner, muffins, donuts, whatever it is. They prepare all the documentations, lovely PowerPoints, and they come and they present to us and then put us into little groups and say, discuss what they have placed in front of us. And somehow, by the time they're finished, we start calling what they put in front of us ours. What we stand for, what we are doing. I wonder if you see what I'm talking about. And so by the time the thing is over, here's what happened. They have successfully brainwashed us into believing that we are implementing a law of our own accord, when instead all we're doing is regurgitating what they have planted in our minds. Because we're lazy. We don't want to take the time to focus, to design and build something. And that is why the two major parties have lasted so long. They were not built by us. They were built by our colonial masters working through agents among us. And so the agents have carried out what the colonial masters say they should, designed the political system the colonial masters say they should, and everything in Jamaica is designed by the colonial masters for the Jamaican people, to keep the Jamaican people down, and it has worked. They have so messed up our minds, from chattel slavery to now mental slavery. They have worked on us, and it has worked. Their strategy has proven to be 100% effective. They have brainwashed us into self-hate. They have brainwashed us into laziness, dependency. We don't want to build anything. So when we come to an organization like the UIC, we want everything to be done for us. Mr. Patterson must get everything done. Mr. Patterson must raise all the money. So you have candidates who come, and they don't help to raise any funds. They just want funds. I'm a candidate. Where's the funds? Give me some funds. Mr. Candidate, we have to raise the funds. Raise the funds? What do you mean, raise the funds? They don't want to raise no funds. They don't want to spend any time doing the work of building. You say, go out and get your 12. They don't want it. They want me. I must run up and down and be a clown so that the party is popular, and then they just get an easy influx of members, a very easy influx of members. Marcus Garvey taught us that we have to organize. We have to be industrious. We have to depend on ourselves. We have to be self-reliant. We must not look for the easy way out. The easy way out is a trap. This is the easy way out. The easy way out is how you catch a bird. You go out into a clear spot and you throw down some free corn and let the bird come and eat the free corn. The first time the bird comes, it's going to be timid, careful, checking out the area carefully. It will be cautious, and it will cautiously come and eat a few grains and look around, eat a few more grains and look around again until it gets a little bit more comfortable. And every day you drop a little bit more grain, a little grain, little grain. You set up a box with a stick and a cord, and you keep putting the grains until it goes under the box. The bird comes every day and eat the free grain, 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 until he goes right under the box. And you draw the string and he's trapped. That is exactly what has been happening to us over 78 years. Now we're trapped. We're trapped. We have no jobs. Our industries are gone. Our dollar is useless. Crime is rampant. Our young people are hopeless. And now we're looking around and saying, what has happened to us? That has happened to us. We have been lazy. We have been lacking in productivity. We have been dependent. We have been too focused on getting something for free, getting charity, instead of working for what we want. And that mentality has kept us from building and owning our own political movement. Marcus Garvey wanted us to have social, political, and economic independence. He wanted us to have social, political, and economic freedom. He wanted us to focus on getting freedom instead of equality. He wanted us to not try to be like the white man, but to make sure that we are no less than anyone. And for that to happen, we have to be prepared to work for it. And so I always told you, the UIC was going to be the People's Party. Let's not kill it like they killed Marcus Garvey. It means we're going to have to stand up against our own, because we have some ignorant black men and women who are determined to destroy Jamaica's future. They're prepared to do anything to destroy Jamaica's future if they can't get the same thing they're used to. If we can't play the game the way they think the game should be played, and play the kind of politics that will lead us right back to being like the other ones, then they think something is wrong. But we have to make sure that we don't give up or give in. Marcus Garvey died of a broken heart. He was killed by his own people. He was undermined by his own race. And guess what? It didn't happen by chance. They got help. His own race, his own people was helped by the enemy to kill him. Just like they did with the other great leaders of our history. Don't let history repeat itself. Let us stop history from repeating itself right here. I am asking all of you to own this political party. Own the UIC, and don't let nobody take it away from you. Own it. I, Joseph L Patterson, have staked my life, my fortunes, my family on this movement. And some think they can come for a few months and take it over. They think they know what is best because now the hard work has been done. I want you to tell them to go build their own party. create their own party. Don't come here and seek to take over or mash up what you did not build. Tell them to go somewhere else with that. If they don't like my leadership, that is fine. Go somewhere else. Demonstrate your leadership. You go demonstrate how you can build something. Don't come and tear down anything. Go somewhere else and go show the world what you can build. You don't need to tear down in order to build. Go build. Start from your own foundation and create your own foundation and work your way up. I built this movement when nobody would dare to do so. There have been many third parties before. They tried to play the game the same way as the other one, the handout game. I just went around the road a while ago to look at my Labor Day project that I'll be doing on Monday. And our Labor Day project is one that they can try to criticize me for. It's a very simple project. There's a young man who has nowhere to live. Well, he's not so young actually. He's an old man, older man, not old, but older. He has nowhere to live. He has been bouncing about. But we have decided that we're going to build him a one-room house. My neighbor called me and we looked at it. They had started, the church was looking at it. And we're going to build him a one-room home. And they asked me to donate some materials to it. I'll tell you what the material is. The material is, we need 12 2x4, you know, the wood 2x4 that somebody said they're going to lick me with. We need 12 of those. We need 4 lot, they call it. We need 7 sheet of ply, 4 pounds of 3-inch nails, 3 pounds of zinc nail, and we have to get some cement and some aggregate to do the base. But here's my deal with the gentleman that we're helping. He's badly in need of help, but here's my deal with him. I am willing to contribute these things to the project, provided the community come and do the labor, and I'm giving you a job to pay me back for the money I'm going to put in your project. I'm going to give you a job, so I'm giving you an advance. So I have some work on the farm that I'd like for you to come and do. And for all of this money I'm going to give you, you're going to earn it. So you're not getting a handout. And I tell all of my constituents here in Northeast St. Elizabeth, in all 4 divisions, Santa Cruz, Silo, Balaclava, Braze River, this is one politician who is not going to get your votes by giving you any handouts. In fact, I don't need your vote if what you need is a handout. Your vote is a vote for good representation, so you don't ever have to need handouts. It is for you to have a leader that is going to lead the development of your community so that it is no longer a handout-dependent community. That's the kind of leader that I'm going to be. If you don't want that kind of leader, you can continue to vote for the other 2. And you'll continue to get what the other 2 have been giving you. And so for this gentleman that we're going to help on Monday, he is going to get the material that he needs. The community has agreed to come and give the labor, and he's going to work off the amount of money that I'm going to put in. Because I tell him, as I tell all my constituents, all of we have to work for the money that we get. So don't think that somebody else must have money put down for you to just give to you. We have to get in the minds of the Jamaican people that all of us need to be productive, all of us need to produce, if you can. There are cases where a person is just not able to produce. They're sick, they're disabled. It is an immediate problem that, you just have to chip in and help out, no problem. But we don't want to make the basic psychology of our nation one where it is about somebody giving you, you're always begging. We have developed a begging culture in Jamaica, and that's what leads to scamming. And so we have to change our mentality in this country. We have to change our approach. And I'm calling upon all of you out there, the few of you, there are a few, all of you out there who are in the business of tearing down other people's things, stop it. Stop tearing down other people. Stop stealing from other people. Go and build for yourself. Offer a service. Do something of value. Don't spend your energy and time tearing down another individual. When I speak about what Andrew and Mark are doing, I'm not interested in tearing them down. I'm talking about my life and your life, and that we need a government that is going to respect our rights. In the coming weeks and months, you're going to see this government, together with its incompetent opposition, taking steps to take away our rights again, take away more of our rights. They've already been infringing on our rights in so many ways that you don't even know. You're going to see more of it again. That's what we need to fight against. We don't have time to be fighting each other. There's a power out there which is about to destroy our country. There's a power out there which is about to destroy our people. There's a power out there which is after us. And some of you want to spend your time tearing down something you did not build instead of helping to build a defense to defend our nation. Stop the tearing down. If you can't help to build, go home quietly and sit down. No bother with the tear down. If you cannot be a part of the building foundation, leave the scene and allow the builders to continue to build. If you thought you could be a candidate, but now you realize that you're not in for the hard work that's involved, you want an easy ride, you wanted it to be simple and easy and smooth, because Mr. Patterson is to make it simple and easy and smooth for you, go home to your yard. This is not for you. If you're not prepared to be a part of the hard work of raising funds, organizing people, and leading the charge for a new Jamaica, go home. If you're an influencer and you thought that all you had to do was just say a whole heap of things and everything should fall into place, and it's not happening for you and you don't like what you see, no problem. Move on. You don't need to tear down. Just move on. Go find something else to do with your time. This is not for you. If you find out that you can't afford to work with a startup, grassroots political party that is not like the other two and don't do things the way the other two does it, if you can't afford to be a part of that, you don't need to tear it down. You just need to go home. Find something else to do with your time. Don't come here and seek to tear down what you did not build. And if you gave some donation and you want it back, tough luck. When you donate to something, you don't get it back. It's a donation. Marcus Garvey died of a broken heart because his own people allowed the enemy to use them to tear him down. Don't allow the enemy to use you to tear down what them never built. Some people will never like my leadership style. My leadership style is this. It's a very simple leadership style. If you're a part of my team, I expect you to do the work that is assigned to you once you agree to it. If you don't agree to it, and you don't want to do anything but just sit down in a meeting and talk, and want to give orders and directions, but you're not prepared to do the hard work, I am going to vote you off the board. I'm going to ask the members to vote you off the board if you're not prepared to do the real work. if you're going to be on the board and you're going to be antagonistic, highly critical, but when you're given an assignment, you can't deliver on it, I will have no respect for you. So I'm going to ask the board to vote you off. That's the kind of leader I am. I can only work with people who are prepared to do more than talk. If you notice, I don't talk a lot in our groups. I don't like the constant chatter. I don't like talking without purpose and talking that doesn't lead to action. I'm action oriented. I want to know that we identify a problem, we analyze the problem, we create an objective, we design a plan to achieve that objective, and then we execute the plan and assess how far or close are we from or to the objective that we set. And when we evaluate the performance, we must be truthful and honest about everybody's contribution to that performance. I'm not the kind of leader that is going to overlook the failures in us trying to get the process done. And I expect you to take responsibility for any areas that you fail in, and I will take responsibility for any areas that I fail in. But we must not simply gloss over it. I realize in Jamaica we don't like that kind of leadership. We like leaders who don't tell us the truth. We like leaders who don't hold us accountable. We like leaders who brush things under the carpet. We like leaders who are not straightforward. We want leaders who make us feel good even when we're failing. Well, I'm not that kind of leader. So if you want a leader that is going to allow you to waste time and resources, you're dealing with the wrong guy. Don't work with me. And if you want a leader who's a puppet, one that you can tell anything and he's going to just do whatever you say because you say so or because you think you're more influential than everybody else, you have the wrong guy. That's not how I operate. I will listen. I will try to understand your point of view. But my job as the leader is to make the tough decisions that you will not be held accountable for. I'm going to be held accountable for the decisions, so it must be my decision to make, not yours. You can sit in your ivory tower and send me instructions and think I'm going to follow it. Just so. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to evaluate it in the context of everything else that is there and then make a decision. But don't think for one moment that you are so influential that I am going to just be a puppet and do what you say because you can go and slander me in public. Not gonna work. I am not afraid of your slander. I am not afraid of anybody trying to discredit me or undermine me because I know the truth about me. And I can stand firm on my integrity. So, let us remember what they did to Marcus Garvey, and let us not repeat that history. I'm talking to you now, the sensible ones. I know some of you may be wavering. You're on the borderline because the UIC is new and you hear negative things being said by some, and you're like, I wonder if it is true. I can tell you one thing for certain. Absolutely nothing that you have heard about the UIC that suggests that we have done anything wrong is true. Yes, we are a startup movement. Yes, it is a challenge to build. Yes, we don't have enough money. Yes, we don't have enough candidates. But anything anybody tells you that suggests that any wrongdoings have gone on because of me, I can assure you that that is wrong. There is no proof. You can depend on me. You can trust me to have integrity at every step of the way. If I wanted to be a thief or a criminal, if I wanted to be the kind of politician that you have all come to be used to now, I would not have wasted my time and energy building what everybody thought was impossible. I would not. It would be very nonsensical. It's much easier for anybody who wants to be a political criminal to join one of the other two parties. Much easier. Especially if you have my credentials. I have the perfect profile to be absorbed into one or the other of the two colonial parties. The PSOJ elites would be very welcoming of me joining their ranks, if I so choose. And I did not choose to join their ranks. I deliberately decided to side with the people of Jamaica, and I have paid the price for it over and over and over again. And if you can't see that, if you cannot use your common sense and good judgment to evaluate the situation and realize that what is being done is the same thing that was done to all of our prophets before, if you cannot realize that, then clearly you should not be a part of the UIC. If you cannot see, if you cannot look at Joseph Patterson and look at what I have done, look at my history, look at my record, if you cannot look at my record and see clearly who you should trust, then something is wrong with your judgment. Something is wrong with your judgment. Do not allow them to do to me what they have done to Marcus Garvey. Do not allow them to do to you what they did to the UNIA. The world, the entire race of black people needed the United Negro Improvement Association. All of what it stood for, the change of mind and attitude, the creation of black industry, black banks, black businesses, black economies, black politics, black social structure. The world needed that. The black race needed that. And we allowed some people to use some people among us to destroy us. And they destroyed the UNIA, and they destroyed Marcus Garvey, and they destroyed us. You and me, our children. Right now we're suffering because we allowed them to destroy the UNIA. If we had stood up and protected and defended Marcus Garvey and continued the great work of the UNIA, today we'll be singing a different song. Nobody could come and try to force any needle in us. If we had stood up and stood firm behind Marcus Garvey, in front of Marcus Garvey, around Marcus Garvey, and build the UNIA, if we had done that, nobody could today be trying to force no needle into us. We would not be in debt to the tune of $2 trillion today in Jamaica. We would have a rich country, well-developed country, much better than Singapore, if we had not allowed a few of us, controlled by the colonial masters and the PSOJ oligarchs, if we did not allow them to destroy Marcus Garvey and the great work that he was doing, if we had not allowed that, today we would not be suffering from 78 years of misery. Don't let them do it to us again. Do not give in. Do not give up. Do not allow them to trick us again and again and again and again. You must by now be able to see the trick. You must be able to see the trick. I have explained it over and over to you. If you notice, the UIC is not into the gimmicks of politics. There are some among us who want us to play just the gimmicks, the game of politics, the run up and down game. We're not into that. We're into education and empowerment so we can liberate the minds of our people to build the nation of Jamaica and the entire African diaspora. We're not into games. We're looking for real solid members who understand and can see the damage that was done and the work that we must now do to build a new Jamaica. We have no time to play political games. We have no time to run after one news story to the other and run out there just to say we were there. If we're going to play the same game as the other two parties, we're not worthy of the votes of the people. We're not worthy of the confidence of the people. We need to step out of politics as usual, step out of the entertainment politics, step out of the theatrical politics, step out of the game playing, and let's get down to business and know that Jamaica is in a serious crisis. We are in a serious, serious crisis right now. Our people are suffering. Look at the living conditions of most Jamaicans. It's poor, and we have more games about rent to own and all kind of games. The Prime Minister is just looking for all kind of things he can put up there to say he's doing, when in effect he's doing nothing. All he's doing is campaigning. All he's doing is whitewashing. All he's doing is putting up facades. Aren't you tired of that? Aren't you tired of that? I'm tired of it. That's the reason why I created the UIC. I am tired of the foolishness. I am tired of the political games. When I was a child and growing up, I'm hearing, is Fiwi time now? What do you mean Fiwi time now? The PNP is saying, a Fiwi time now. The GLP is saying, a Fiwi. What kind of foolishness in that? It's our time, all the time. Jamaica time. It's time for us to put Jamaica first. It's time for us to put our real interest first and not play the games anymore. Politics is not about entertainment. It's not a show. We need to get rid of the show business out of politics and get down to the serious business of building our country. Politics is serious business. What is politics? Politics is about how do we structure our country to be optimal, efficient, and effective in meeting the needs of the citizens. And the first step in that is to protect the sovereignty of every single individual. We need to stop playing games. Yes, the public needs to see the UIC, of course. But let us be realistic and let us be clear on how the public is going to see the UIC. How is the public going to see the UIC? The public is going to see the UIC if we pay for the public to see the UIC. You see, we get what we pay for. For years, we have not been paying for politics because we think it's free. We have been contented to simply sit and wait for 4 years to pass, and then we enjoy the circus and go and vote and then go back home and live with whatever happens. We get what we pay for. We thought politics was free. We thought that politics was about politicians coming around and giving handouts and pretending that they care and doing charitable deeds so that they can win the election, and when they win, they spend the next 4 years thieving all of our money. So they give you $5,000, they give you some football competition in your community, they give you some health clinic or health fair, some pressure test, and they give you some dandy shandy, if you will, all kind of frolic and entertainment. They give you some party conference and blow on and make all kind of comments and all kind of things. And then they get us all excited. They spend, $300-400 million to get our votes. Then they spend the next 4 years thieving 4 to 5 to 6 times that amount. which left us with bad roads, bad school, bad hospital, bad education. What a waste of time. It's time for us to wake up and say enough of that kind of politics. We don't want you to simply come and entertain us. We don't want you to come and fool us up with nice words. We don't want you to come and kiss babies now and go visit the seniors in their homes now and walk through river with barefoot now and do all the things to win our votes because you get the kind of optics, the marketing, the advertisement. It looks nice and pretty. And then come up with all kinds of shenanigans, free water, free education, free school, free this, free that, and all kind of lies and trickery. And at the end of the day, look where your light bill is, look where your water bill is, look where the cost of living is. Look upon the quality of your health care, look upon the quality of the school, look upon the lack of jobs, look upon the lack of opportunities, look upon the brain drain. After all of those, let us not fool ourselves. Where is the money now jingling in your pocket that was promised by Siaga? Where is the log on to progress that was promised by PJ Patterson? Where is the better must come? Where is the deliverance now? Where is the prosperity that was promised? It's time for us to say we're tired of the game now. We want serious business now. And if you're serious at all, if every Jamaican gets serious, we should not have a single seat that is GLP and PNP in the next election. If we ever get serious, this is not for Joseph to do. Don't sit there and think, oh, we need to see you more out, Mr. Patterson. Why you need to see me more out? Yes, I don't mind. I plan to go out more as much as the donations coming, I will. But why is that the key issue? What are you doing? You should comment to Mr. Patterson. I now have my group of 12. I am in Little London and I have my group of 12 and we're going door to door and signing up people to become UIC members. Oh, Mr. Patterson, I'm over in Nain, St. Elizabeth, and I have my group of 12 and I'm signing up people every day in my workplace, in my community. Mr. Patterson, I'm in New York, and over here, I pulled together a group of people, or 12, and we're finding Jamaicans in the diaspora. And what are we doing? We're raising funds so you'll have money to buy television and radio ads or whatever it is, or social media ads. That's what we need. Let us all see ourselves as a part of the solution, not as a spectator. We have enough spectators. We have enough talkers. Let us stop the talking and stop the spectating and start the acting. Let's start to act. You too, if you can't find 12 people in your circle to convince to be a part of the UIC, what more do you expect from me? Stop making the UIC about what Mr. Patterson is doing and make the UIC about what we are doing. What are we doing? And let we be stronger than me. Stop talking about whether Mr. Patterson is a weak leader or a strong leader. That's not the issue. What are you doing? How many persons have you gotten together on your team to say, we are Team UIC, and but come hell or high water, we're going to elect the UIC in this election? I can tell you this, if we ever get serious, if we the people, you and me, I'm already serious, I'm dead serious, and you see it, I have put my money where my mouth is, I put everything where my mouth is. Every day I am here, my life is in danger. Every day that I expose to you more of the fraud in our government, my life is in danger. So don't tell me I'm not giving enough. I have given more than enough. The question is, how much have you given? So now it's time for you to start to give. And how difficult it is for you to find 12 persons to join your team to say, let us work together to elect UIC members. How difficult it is for you to get 12 persons to sign up to donate $25 US or the equivalent a month, so that we will have the money to have the staff, have the offices, have the teams in the different communities to bring out the people on election day. It won't happen by a miracle. So stop waiting for a Messiah. Pray, but work. Faith without works is dead. So put your works in. Stop hoping alone and praying alone and wishing alone. Put some work in it too. You must come now. You should be writing on the comment section in the chat box and say, Mr. Patterson, I have 25 people now on my list when we get for vote UIC. And we're busy to raise funds. We have now raised $2,000 US or $3,000 US. And we're sending it tomorrow morning so that you can go out there with your team and go door to door, just like me I do in my little community. I see some people talking about my wife and I take money out of the UIC. Let me tell you this. Listen categorically, listen carefully, listen very, very carefully. My wife and I have never taken a cent in compensation from the UIC. Never. I have asked for it, and because of that, I was grossly disrespected by some people who were supposed to know better. Let me tell you this. There is no well-run, well-managed organization that does not pay the CEO and the chief administrator to get things done. So if you want somebody to work for you and to be your CEO, your president, your chief executive officer, to organize and to manage and get things done, it is a good idea for you to understand the importance of funding that person to get the work done. It's a very good idea. It is a wise idea. It is a sensible idea. And it is only somebody who has a mental screw missing who would think that you should continue to have your CEO and your chief administrator working, not being able to attend to their own finances properly because of the work they're doing, and you're draining them and think that you're going to have an effective organization. That's idiocy, stupidity, or downright cruelty. Which is it? So don't make them fool you. So for the 10 years I have been at this, I have never gotten a cent from the UIC. Not once, not even one day. Yes, I've been reimbursed for things, some things. Like when I buy the t-shirts and I put out $500,000 one time to buy the t-shirts, and then the UIC has to sell them back over 6 months, 7 months. And then at some point I get back some of the money and then all of it and the profit stays. Yes, I get reimbursed for that. But don't let them fool you and use money to trick you and deceive you into forming the wrong opinion and understanding. Let us be sensible. Let us be sensible. You need to fund. We need to fund, because I'm a part of it. I have been funding the UIC for years before some of these mad people come with some new ideas and want to take over the movement. I have funded this movement up to this very day. If we have to pay something and the UIC doesn't have the money, I take the risk every time and pay for it in advance, not knowing if I will ever get my money back. And then you have these people come who have never done that. They have never ever made that kind of sacrifice. Never. Never at all. But now they want to come and say all of these things and do all of these things. Wicked and cruel. They are the kind of people who killed Marcus Garvey. They're insane. We need to run them one side and don't even listen to them anymore. They're cruel and inhumane, rude, out of order. They have no real care. And they think they may just defame somebody, seek to destroy their character, a character they have not built. They have not even built a solid character for themselves, and they want to destroy another man's character ungrateful, cruel. And only somebody of a similar character would join forces with them and partake in that kind of slander and destruction. But Marcus Garvey told us that they couldn't keep him down even after they kill him, and they will not be able to keep me down or the UIC down, because we shall continue to rise. We shall overcome. We are overcoming. And I invite all of you now to really buckle down. Push away the noise. Push away the naysayers. And let us organize. Let us get our community capital clubs under our JUMP program right across Jamaica, right across America, right across Canada, right across the UK, and anywhere that there's a Jamaican in any part of the world. Let's get them involved in building our community capital clubs under our JUMP program, the Jamaica Upliftment Monetary Program. Let's get that program going. Get our 12s in our wherever you are. Just get 12 persons. Start with one. Get one more person to join you. And now you have two of you who are working together to build the UIC in order to rebuild Jamaica. And in the tour, you get two more. That's 6. And the 6 of you get 2 more. That's 12 plus 6, 18. You understand me? So let us continue to build and avoid those who are in the business of destruction. Let us build now. Let us not tear down. Not tear down the body and not tear down no organization. Tear down mental slavery. Tear down the colonial system. Tear down the colonial parties. Tear down the PSOJ oligarch. Let us tear down those structures that are blocking us from real prosperity. Let us tear those down. Let us tear down the urge to be like crabs in a barrel. Let us remember Marcus Garvey. Let us not repeat the history of Marcus Garvey. Let us build on his great legacy. Let us not go backwards. The UIC must be the third party that became the first party to liberate Jamaica from mental and colonial slavery. Let us put an end to the system of colonialism in this country. Let us liberate our education system with an Afrocentric education model that will build the mind, body, and character of our children, that will help them to be able to form solid relationships in the family, in the community, and globally in business. Let us give our children an education that empowers them with the knowledge and understanding of money, the history of money, the science of money, the politics of money, so that nobody can fool them ever again. Let us empower our children with an education that fits them to outclass any other nation, not the foolish system we have right now, which prepares them for a century ago, which prepares them for a system that is dead. Let us give our children now real education. Let them become innovators, producers, and creators, as opposed to being mere regurgitators. Let us give Jamaica a Jamaica where every inch of it looks like a tourist destination. Every community, from Elam to New River to Santa Cruz to Goshen to Pepper. Let us give Jamaica a country which looks good in the east, in the west, in the north, and the south. Let us give Jamaica a police service instead of a police force. Let us give Jamaica an active armed forces which truly patrols and controls our border and our custom to stop the guns from coming in. Let us build a Jamaica where every single student, when they leave high school, if they're not going into university or a trades program, they're going into an apprenticeship program to learn on the job and grow into an effective citizen in this country. Let us build a country where the tax system is simple and effective and properly used to provide for the needs of the people instead of to enrich politicians. Let us have a country where corruption is completely squeezed out from the top so that we can have the bottom of the society being able to respect those in office, whether it's in office at the political level, office at the police level, office at teacher level. Let us bring back the reverence and respect for teachers and police officers and nurses in this country by paying them well, treating them well, building up a society where they are a key and respected part of it. We can do it. We can rebuild our community with community policing. But first, we have to get rid of those who are standing in the way by getting rid of the colonial system that allows them to do it. So my friends, in closing, remember Marcus Garvey. Let us not repeat the history. Let us defend and protect the United Independence Congress of Jamaica and make no bones about it. I am the founder and president of the UIC, and I am not going anywhere. I will be here until the last day when the votes are counted and this nation as a UIC government. Thanks to you, to your effort, to us coming together, working together to create one Jamaica, stronger together. Have a good night. Take care.